Kavanaugh. And I said, we have to fight for him, not worry about the other side. And by the way, women are for that more than anybody would understand.
That was the president just moments ago speaking at a rally in Missouri, addressing the chaos around the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation. And there is, in fact, a lot of it. The main debate is over timing of the next Kavanaugh hearing. Here are the basic facts about it. According to the schedule most of us assumed was real 2 weeks ago, the Senate should have already voted on the nomination by now, and Kavanaugh almost certainly would have been confirmed. He had the numbers. And then the wrinkle. Democrats leaked the name of Christine Ford to the press. Ford alleges that sometime back in high school, about 36 years ago, Kavanaugh jumped on her at a party and groped her over her clothes. She's provided very few details, including when and where it allegedly happened. Kavanaugh has denied the story entirely, and so has the other person Ford said was present, a man named Mark Judge. That's pretty much what we know. In order to know more, we're going to need to hear from Christine Ford. Both sides once agreed on that because it's obvious she should have a chance to speak. Everyone thought that was a good idea. It was a consensus view. Republicans in the Senate asked Ford to testify this week. She refused. They offered to send a staffer to her house in California to take her testimony privately, and she refused that too. Finally, they asked her to testify this coming Monday. She says she won't, but she will not explain why she won't. Ford's lawyers are now saying she's willing to explain herself in the Senate next Thursday. Thursday is a significant date in this story. Because of Senate rules, which are complex, if Ford testifies next Thursday, the vote on Kavanaugh will be pushed back at least another week. In this environment, that very likely means forever. His nomination will be over. So will any Trump nomination to the court. There isn't time before the midterms for the White House to introduce and vet a new candidate. Democrats will have prevented the administration from filling this vacancy. We'll have just 8 justices for the foreseeable future, and probably until there's another Democratic president. Now, you may have voted for Trump in the hope he would put reasonable people on the Supreme Court, but tough. If this testimony is delayed until Thursday, that's likely not going to happen. So that's what's at stake over this timing question. What's amazing is that almost nobody on television is telling you that. They're still pretending this is all a matter of protecting Christine Ford's feelings or civil rights or something to that effect. Watch.
It's an incredibly sensitive, incredibly emotional decision to make, and for people to be sort of casting doubt on the timing of this, or to be sort of rendering judgment on how she proceeded, I think is probably pretty inappropriate.
Now, we mean no disrespect to Christine Ford here, and we have shown her none. The show has given her every benefit of every doubt. We have assumed, and we still assume, she believes everything she has said. But this is absurd. Whether she intended to be or not, Ford is now at the center of a partisan effort that has nothing to do with sexual abuse or protecting women, or the details, for that matter, of a high school party close to 40 years ago. This is about political power and how it is apportioned in Washington. In the process of trying to regain that power, one party is corroding our legal norms and threatening our system of impartial justice. In our system, individuals do not get to dictate the terms of investigations. You can't just say you don't feel like participating. Why don't you try that? Try it the next time you get someone for jury duty or told to appear on small claims court. Blow off a speeding ticket and see what happens. You can't do that because the Justice Department isn't just about you. It's about all of us. In this case, Brett Kavanaugh could sit on the court that shapes the lives of 330 million other people. And so the rest of us have a right to know exactly what Christine Ford is alleging here. Now, the operatives posing as her defenders claim that Ford was so traumatized by an event that supposedly happened in 1982 that rules cannot apply to her. That's many things. It's also patronizing. Democrats are treating a middle-aged woman like a child. Ford is not a child. She's an adult. She has a family, an advanced degree, a high-level job. She has accused a public figure of a sex crime, a felony, and she's done it in vague terms. She's now part of an effort to destroy that public figure's life, wittingly or not. She needs to explain herself or allow the country to move on. Now, if there's one good thing about this spectacle, it's that it has drawn the usual cave dwellers from their holes and forced them to expose themselves in the light of day as the buffoons they are. For example, here's Joe Biden explaining why Ford cannot be asked to explain her own allegations. Keep in mind that Biden was thinking about running for president next year. Hard to see that happening after this. Watch.
It's important that people understand, and I think people do now, understand how hard it is to come forward. And I always say to men, they say, why it's so hard? How about if you've been abused? You see the movie Deliverance? How about if you were the guy strapped to the tree? Would you come forward? Would you want to relive that? I'm serious. I'm deadly earnest.
I'm serious, says Biden. Deadly earnest, which, of course, as usual, is exactly the opposite of the truth. There's nothing earnest about what's going on now. It couldn't be more false. Serious? Well, that is serious as Joe Biden's next presidential campaign. Republicans may be figuring that out finally. Tonight, Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, delivered an ultimatum to Ford's lawyers: settle on a time to testify by 10 p.m. tonight, about 2 hours from now, or the vote on Brett Kavanaugh will go ahead on Monday. We'll keep you posted on what happens there. In the meantime, Dana Perino hosts the Daily Briefing with Dana Perino. Obviously, she's on the 5. Obviously, she's one of your heroes, and thankfully, she joins us now. What do you think of this last-minute Grassley move, Dana?
I think it's smart, and I think it's following the lead of Senator Mitch McConnell, who this morning at the Value Voters Conference gave a speech. You know, he's a steady, easygoing guy, and he's the one who took a big risk when President Obama was president and Antonin Scalia passed away in the January of 2016. It was Mitch McConnell who said, we are going to follow precedent. We are not going to have a hearing and a vote on a nominee for the Supreme Court in a presidential election year. And he held to that. He was ridiculed by the left, but think about how risky that was, Tucker, because President Trump was not a sure win. Most people thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. But because Mitch McConnell held strong, he was able to allow President Trump this opportunity, not only to get Neil Gorsuch on the bench, but also to have this opportunity to nominate a second justice, and that would be Brett Kavanaugh if he's confirmed. This morning, Mitch McConnell said to the Value voters there, don't worry, don't get rattled. Judge Kavanaugh will be a Supreme Court justice soon. And I do think that if it does get down to just the raw politics of this, then I think that the Republicans would be smart to go ahead and call the vote.
Well, I think that's absolutely right. Otherwise, I mean, why wouldn't the Washington Post and Democrats on the committee be deluged with anonymous accusations against Kavanaugh? The temptation is just too strong. I do wonder, though, as 5 nights in a row we've done this story, 5 nights in a row we've said at the outset and meant it, that she seems sincere. We are not attacking her. We take these claims seriously, and all people following should want to know exactly what they are and what does this mean. Given that, it does seem to me she's being used very badly by a number of highly political lawyers who've taken up her case and are yanking the rest of us around with this timing question. Why would it be so hard to allow an investigator to fly out to California and get a full story?
Well, maybe we'll never know, but perhaps we will. There's about an hour and 40 minutes left for them to decide if she's going to testify. Then you got this late-minute thing today that, well, she didn't want to fly to Washington, D.C.,
Right.
But the committee had said they'd go to her. But actually what she wants is for the senators to have to attack them. And that what Democrats seem to be counting on is that America will be so unhappy that 11 white men are going to be doing the questioning when, you know, is that really the issue, or are we trying to get to the truth? So it does seem to me that there's some strategy going on here. But I do think that the Republicans have been quite open to saying, well, we just found out about this a week ago tonight. We'll have a hearing. We'll come to you. We'll accommodate. We'll do something. But you know what? We're not going to wait forever. And I think that's what Chuck Grassley is saying tonight, following Mitch McConnell's lead and actually the will of the people who voted for President Trump. They wanted somebody to go in there who is not going to roll over for these types of accusations without any chance to have due process. I did think it was strange that one of the demands from Christine Ford's attorneys was that Judge Kavanaugh should speak first at the hearing. Well, what is he supposed to say? We don't even know what the full story is. So they're turning the justice on its head at the Senate Judiciary Committee. I think the Republicans are going to say, we're not going to stand for that.
Yeah, I mean, leaving Kavanaugh and the House and Senate Republicans, who I have no allegiance to them, this whole thing makes me nervous because you want your basic judicial norms to remain in place, I think.
Well, absolutely. We should all want that, because as they are seeing now, when you break norms, like Harry Reid decided to do by breaking the filibuster for nominations, well, look what happens. You can figure out a way, and like all this things comes back to haunt you. But we should not allow this to happen at all. But we should have the hearing if she wants to testify. If she does not want to, I think they should call the vote.
Dana Perino, thank you for that. Have the best weekend.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.